Welcome to Gerald Johan van Waas educational channel, related with my methodical or controlled synesthesia book called Sound in Form, which in this video I might consider even a different definition. I'm not very sure if synesthesia is the best way to describe it, because it's more like a hybrid symbiosis of the senses, and I will explain you why it is like that and what is the difference. Because we know synesthesia, so we're in the brain, we make an association, we see something round, and some people suddenly see the color red. It's random. It's like two parts of the brain remember a certain aspect at the same time. They associated it with something. No, they associated it both, and they accept it both as being from that kind of nature or that kind of level or proportion. It's more, proportion is more the better word. Like colors are also proportions, sounds are proportions. So these proportions are comparable, and in that way, in some way, they are also compatible. And it is a bit random, but it shouldn't be random. In a way, this making the combinations of two different parts of the brain, which it can be very useful, because if you can change a form into appropriate color into the same context, or sound into a form into the same context, then it is a rational tool and not just a random sensitivity tool. So for me, it is something different. So I combine through things that are combinable. So I do that only partly deliberate, because it is in my nature to sense these things together, and they are interconnected. But they are also interconnected, let's say, in the middle, with the same kind of values all the time. So I can sense it, and it is correct in the reality as well. So the connections are connected with the thing itself as well. Now, I will not prove that in this video, but I will tell you how a kind of symbiosis of the senses works well. So there are different ways to express this, and there are different expressions about this. And one of these expressions, I talked about that before in my book of Tarot, which is related, of course, with these four card symbols, if you would like. And these four card symbols, they symbolize also the four kinds of ways of understanding and sensing the world. So it's the top symbol over there is related with the ratio. So it's a way of sensitivity where you know, okay, I understand this to a certain proportion, or I do not understand it. That's that kind of sensibility organ. If you only use that, you don't recognize quickly enough that there are some things that you didn't understand, and you still use your rationality in it. That's why you also need these other sensory organs, because they warn you. They also have warning signals. For instance, the square, the diamond form over there, is the sensory organ of the instinct, or also the instinct to move, to change. And this one will warn you, like, oh no, there's a danger. No, it doesn't feel right. I have to make a change. I will do that. I will change direction. Politicians do that all the time. They change direction when they sense, okay, this is not the right direction to go to. I will change direction, just as simply as that. It's a reaction pattern that is very useful and instinctive, and it can help you, and it is different than the rationality. It's a different kind of organ. The other organ that you also have is the sensitivity organ, or the related with the heart figure. There you have, I sense here an attraction, and then you go to somewhere where you think this will benefit me. But if you only use that, okay, you will think that this sensitivity you can use all the time. You will get disappointed because you have no warning signals at that point, so the warning signals come too late when you already will become disappointed. The same thing with rationality. You can only become disappointed because the rationality at its own is not such a strong organ as people think it is. The practical organ is much more useful all the time, and it doesn't lead to disappointment. It's you just check if it is practical, and if it's not practical, okay, you make it more practical. It's as simply as that. But if you work together, something that you sense, as you can see in the middle, you can only sense it partly, or for the most part, in one of these sensory organs, but the other organs they will fill in. If you fill in all these organs together, you will notice the things that you experience much better, and you can even act accordingly because you recognize its patterns, and its patterns will fill in, and you will very easily understand what is going on and act accordingly. And you can use these kind of mixed senses in all parts of the brain. So I could compare it with colors in the balance. I could compare it with sounds, and maybe I don't know where formation is related to, but I can use this as well to interpret it and bring it in balance. So then I will understand it, sense it, and give it some direction. So these senses of whatever it is that come together, they will also interact in the same way as these four sensory organs interact. So of course, the things that you don't do well are equally important. What you don't understand, or the disappointments, or the attractions, the dangers, or the work that still needs to be done. You have to know what is there to develop. This part is mostly important if you want to change anything and direct anything, but therefore you need, of course, the acknowledgement of what you do not know, and what you do not know you will sense already in your intuition. Okay, here's something different, or I feel that something is different, but I don't know what it is. That's a very good start, because then you gave it already the first step to change. Even intuition on its own is actually quite empty. So only because of you, when using all the sensory organs together, by helping to see where there's the danger, where there's something going wrong, or when there's an attraction that is not going into the same direction, or when you don't understand something, or when there's work to do, you have to see it as quick as possible so that you can interact and change and make the changes that are needed. So it starts with intuition, and you start to sense what is needed. That's the next step. So the laws of attraction and of formation will come to you very quickly in the second step of your understanding, and and that leads to success of what you're doing, and also of your understanding what you're doing. Now the hybrid of senses, that's what I'm talking about. How does this symbiosis works? Well, because they need each other, and they have to fill in each other, and some kinds of understanding, they will not work without it. So there's a kind of order in so how you can develop this. So first, you don't know, I don't know, and then you sense what is missing, then you sense its direction, then you sense where it's heading, then you understand why it is heading in that way and where to, then you sense what is needed, you sense what you need to do, and so on. In a certain development, it will lead you to a better understanding, better sensing of it is, and in the end only a true understanding of what is going on. So the formation of what is happening, you only sense a certain part, and certain things are formed, and they are formed at one of these organs. So the sensitivity can be formed, the rationality can be formed, the practicality can be formed. It's all interacting. So sometimes it's two of these senses can make a development, or three of these senses, and so on. There are a lot of possibilities. It's just a small presentation. It is not that important, but the symbols around here, underneath here, are connected with some ideas from the book Van the Tarot. If you read that book, you will understand. Otherwise, it's okay. It's not the right moment. But here it is about, there's a formation going on, and some of the senses will understand what is developing, and some of the other senses will understand it less. So this is my focus. Don't forget, all the senses together can make certain talents that are otherwise are not available. Intelligence in its own can only develop by developing these sensory organs together. Rationality is not intelligence. Rationality on its own, it's a tool, but most of the time it's a bit idiotic how it is as a talent. Just like the heart or the sensitivity, it's a bit idiotic. It will always make the same mistakes. But because of the adaptations which the diamond does, or the practical thinking, the adaptations will be done, and the working together with the other organs, then you will not make so easily these mistakes. They will still happen, but you don't care, because it doesn't matter. You know what to expect next. So the rationality, I have to say, like, rationality is is used as a kind of sometimes it is needed to limit a little bit all the direction we're going, because they are not very developed well. So with the rationality we can already say, okay, this we developed already, that's what I know, okay, so we can fall back on this. But once there are some things that we don't know and they are not developed, we need to develop it at some stage, and the developments are rarely with the ratio alone, because there are some unknown parts. And with these unknown parts, you have to have a chance to develop it, and it's with an underdevelopment that you start. The underdevelopment, that's the part that starts from intuition, sensitivity, and then it will turn into rationality again. Not you can't do that from the rational viewpoint alone, because it starts from the known things and not from the unknown things. And in my book of Tarot, I explained already, there are 28 sorts of intelligence in combination with the sensory organs in a balanced situation, and then in a certain region where you can use them. One of these intelligence is, of course, the understanding of sounds and letters, as my book is about. It's an intelligence that you cannot develop by ratio alone. That's why I had an order, and in the beginning I emphasized, okay, you have to go through the books, but that's not really needed, but there is a possibility to go through it. At least my development of my mind went through these things, because I had to form a balanced way of getting to the rational theory. I had a sensitivity I had an intuition first. At first, it became a sensitivity, and now it is a rationality. At the end, because and the combination, how you keep the sensitivity, learn the sensitivity, is in my last book. In my last book, Sound Informed. So the first preparation is about how you balance out the senses and learn to have them working together. The second book is more like, okay, I developed already some sense of how things are hanging together, but you cannot explain it rationally yet. So it is a book of that's why I called it a book of revelation, because it's not using the explanations yet why this is this. It is only saying, okay, I sense this, and this it hangs together like that, and it is true, but you cannot explain it in that book. But in sounding form, this theory is much more developed, and you can. So I prove for this sensed and but I also give you the opportunity of developing the senses by just meeting all the kind of possibilities that you do with it. My next goal, I think I will still read make another book slightly based upon these videos, where I will use a rational theory, purely rational, and because then I will say, okay, there's nothing to prove anymore. The sensitivity can be developed from there without looking, I mean, without much effort actually now, because nowadays I can even have a work in between eating soup and a potato, as a matter of speaking. So I couldn't do that before. It was much more difficult to get that into the normal life that is running around me. So what is needed if you would have a new theory, or if you do something else, or you have this sensitivity? This is about the sensitivity. What do we need to do? There's a renewal of focus needed, but we can only develop it when we achieve the balance and understanding. This balance of it, which you can find in my second book, Changeling of Seasons, is a balance between the formation, all kinds of formations, but of course these sensory organs are involved. So it's only a rational tool when you have an intellectual tool, so not just a rational tool, when you have all these organs working together. I repeat the organs once more. So you have to, the ratio is used to create a rational distance so that we can work with something without being connected. It's practical at some points that we are not so well connected, but we can already prepare ourselves. So that's the advantage of rationality. We adapt to the changes that we need to do in the instinctive moves. We know, we are attracted to certain things emotionally, and we can also work it out practically in if it is desired. And if you know how to deal with all these kinds of sensory organs, and we developed it together, and we develop it together means like I sense that I sense that I should be attracted to something, or I want to attracted to something, is something else, and I feel attracted, but it feels not good anymore. So what is going on? And maybe the rationality knows, or maybe the practical part knows, or there's time for a change, and you do that immediately because you use all these four organs together. By doing that, you can use different ways of intelligence, and then you understand certain things which otherwise you could not understand. These intelligences that are described in the Tarot book are also, you can also find them in some Kabbalah books, which describe these intelligences as well. So some Jewish scripts I am referring to. So now about the hybrid tool that I developed there in the sound in form. Now, can we use the pattern that I just told you? Like, okay, there are some people maybe they understand things differently, they sense things differently, they do things differently. It's not immediately recognized, but in school or as a child, you can sometimes feel that this has to be different. I sense something. It's at that point, it's a bit instinctive. It's rather intuitive. It's an empty place still that is not described yet, but they sense things differently. It's and there's a reason to have this sense. So you have to use it in a certain way so that you can even develop that into the real new thing in a rational tool. It takes some time, but the teacher has some role in it as well to make that possible. So I was referring to this pattern. So you first have the intuition. So it allows you to to sense something that is a little bit different. But actually, at that point, you have no clue what it is, why you do that, but you have some sorts of intuition. If you stay there, could also be an idiocy, or it can be just simply an instinctive, automatic thing that is correct. That's the idiocy of nature. Nature is simple, and it does do the things as they should do. So if someone tells you, okay, it has to be different, and you sense, not rationally, but you sense like, oh, why? How does it come that I sense it differently? It's a very good question. There is a reason behind it, but it is an open question. Before it is a sensitivity that there is something new and there is really something going on, you need to develop it. It's also the sensitivity at that point is still under development, but it's good to acknowledge that can be changed into a sensitivity, and when this sensitivity is true and it is still working and it works all the time, not just in the condition of desire, then of course it can also gradually begin to become a rational tool and an intelligent tool. But you have to learn, and then you learn to understand its patterns that fit everywhere. But then they will fit everywhere. Not just that you want to fit them. The desire is sometimes confused with intuition, which is or projections are sometimes confused with intuition. You have to know the truth before you can understand the intuition. And the truth is not what is always told to you, that is correct, but the truth is that the truth is a whole picture. So if someone says it's different, you say it's different, there's a reason behind it, why they say it. Just discover the reason behind it. Sometimes the reason behind it is because it's a desire for something else. It's not always a good reason, so be careful with that. But I will go back to the child. The child has this natural ability. So once the intuition is really rooted in this natural, automatic ability that everybody has, so that's a kind of naive idiocy. So this kind of idiocy is okay. The other kind of idiocy, of a tendency of or a domination of one of the senses, and you reflect it as a projection, as if it is something else. That's not the same thing. But the intuition of the automatic intuition that the child has to express something, for instance, or to understand something in a certain way, when not repeated, because we have a society that, like the apes, we come from the apes, that first starts to repeat the other ape, then with this intuition, which goes even further back than the apes, which is in the nature development itself, you can trust it. You can rather trust it. I only have to understand it, because at that point, when it's still intuitive, you have no clue why you do that. So I have here a child drawing of a cloud and of a person, with a cloud with a blue cloud, and a person with a head is painted orange. And this reminds me of a story that I experienced in school. I have an education in pedagogy, so I had to learn and I had to follow some other teachers. And one of these childs, they painted this. Now, what did the teacher said? No, this is not correct. It's a rational system who says that this is not correct. Child does this, but it says, no, it is not correct. If the rationality is limited, and it is also almost like an idiocy, okay, what do you get? The intuition is gone, the sensitivity for what you're doing is gone, and the rationality goes to immediately will be remembered as a rational thing. And the level of this rationality was idiocy, so you create idiots. So the teacher says, no, it's not correct. The cloud has to be like this, with it is white. If he was a bit more correct, it is white in a blue sky, and then he would have painted it like that. No, the person is not orange. Are you stupid? A person is pink. Paint it pink. It's not also not correct. If I use my rationality, which was, sorry, a bit better than this teacher, I would say, I could have said to this teacher, now a cloud is also not painted like this because it's not there. Do you think a painting of, do you think a cloud has black lines, or as a cloud these round balls as you correct? No, it's not like that. And a person, is it pink? No, it's not pink. A cloud, if you look at the cloud, you see it's completely different form. It's not that. So even you are not correct. What do you expect? That they paint a photograph? That let them take a photograph. What do you want? That they paint immediately a painting just like Leonardo da Vinci? Let them go to a museum and let them watch it, or just let them watch, see how a person looks like, and just leave it and take another picture. That's not what it is about. I have no idea why they are doing this, because that's not the point. So what the child did and what the teacher says, they even make it as if there's no clue there anymore. This is a picture. A picture represents also itself, and the presentation has its own expression. Why do you deny this? So if this is a blue cloud, if this is an orange thing, just why don't they think twice and say, okay, why? The intuition, if you really succeed to understand and sense like where it comes from, why this cloud is blue, and why this person is orange and not pink, or color of the skin, whatever color of the skin a person has. If they understand it, it becomes a sensitivity, and if they sense it, it can also become an understanding, and it can become a rationality. But now they forget everything immediately. Intuition, sensitivity, wiped out immediately in school. Instead of limiting the understanding, the teacher should say to himself, no, stop it. Stop it. So instead of saying no, this is not correct, the teacher should ask himself, not the student, how does it come that it is like that? What is it? In fact, the child senses it, and he could say like, yes, I sense this. It is a correct presentation. It is a picture, for God's sake. It's a picture of what he sensed. A picture is a representation of elements that he feels and that he understands. Blue with a cloud. I mean, I looked up some clouds on the internet, and so just I put into the Google cloud illustration. What do I get? A white cloud? No, a blue cloud. Clouds are blue. How does that come? It's actually the way we associate. It is a picture. The picture is a representation. The picture has to speak for itself as a representation. What does the cloud represent? It presents the sky, the blue sky. It presents something in the sky. It presents even water that is the cloud. So it is clear immediately. You have the associations needed. So all the elements that we need in the associations are there, even if it's not there in the reality. The reality is the picture, and the picture speaks to us in the way it should be. Why the man in orange? How does a child has this stupid idea of intuition? It's not a stupid idea. It's also, again, attraction. It's the law of attraction. The colors have a law of attraction. Orange, and I got this from Jung. He said, children, they represent when they have the freedom to do so and doesn't unlearn it. They represent people in orange. Why? Orange is the color of vividness, of being alive, of that everything is healthy, it's happy. So this is kind of, that's the law of attraction. So it's attracted to it, and this orange, this even makes it better. It's even an improvement if it's not color. The pink color, it spoils it. If you really want to have the skin color, okay, then you can make it more like a photograph. It's the next level of looking at something, a more materialistic level. But they are both correct in its own sense, in its own level of expressing. So what should a teacher's job be? What I would say. Okay, he can learn. He can learn, of course, to develop this rationality. But if he projects his own rationality, which is by nature rather stupid, it only creates other stupid people, and it limits people, so the intelligence doesn't rise from childhood to adulthood, because they don't connect to the first aspects of its natural feeling, how they have the natural intuition, the sensitivity. That is the connection that the children themselves should connect to, and then they come to an extra rationality. And this rationality becomes an intellect, because they understand it from their own nature. It doesn't actually matter so much if they that's something, maybe it's one of the next videos, but the rationality itself is it is, of course, the whole school is based upon repetition on and so on, but rationality is it's useful to put some limits there, because it says, it's in a way, it says okay, this is society, this is how you have to live. You have a role. You have not an individual role. You are part of the society, so you have to fit in somewhere. So this is understandable, but the understanding of everything, okay, the teacher should just present all what he knows, but the conclusions and the teaching is actually, it comes from the children themselves. I think I have that in one of the next videos. But okay, about the colors, I was a bit I'm a bit disappointed of what you can find about colors. So one of my next steps will be that I have a next book ready, which will be out in maybe in 2 months or so, and it reflects the psychological, metaphysical, and all the materialistic reasons of attraction in colors. So it's based upon 7 color wheels. Officially we only have 2 or 3 color wheels, but I have found more color wheels that are related with certain aspects of development in nature, and they interconnect, and it's kind of a yin-yang system, so that you know where the laws of attraction in colors, how this works. So certain colors moves you to another area as well, and there you can explain all the colors in all the contexts. So I hope this be ready soon. So the same will be about so the same explanations will be done about for letters. So my perspective is that from the first moment, nature is almost automatically correct. We ourselves are a kind of like animals, a little bit. We have this idiocy that do everything correct, but if we rationalize it, then we might forget this connection. So the natural feeling is not very developed, but at least we know how to connect. We react correctly to the level of what we understand, to the goals we have, and we can still broaden the sensitivity and broaden the possibilities of it. But then we have to start this development through intuition, sensitivity, to come to a new rationality, an extra rationality. as a natural process of an order of attention that we give it to increase our starting level of understanding. The same thing I did in my book, so also in the Fool's Tarot, it started from the intuitive connections, going over to changeling of seasons. This is the sensitivity, this is further developed, and it is also recognizable in natures and the seasons. And gradually I have also a combination of sensitivity and rationality in the sounding form. And the next step, of course, will be it's not only cooperation within ourselves, but it's also cooperation with others that we need before it can develop into a science subject. And so that's not, sadly, it's still not there. And the development to develop something, it works best in this order: intuition, sensitivity, rationality. So I already told you, yeah, it was in another slide indeed. So it doesn't matter that there is a kind of limit added in school. The individuals are not so important in society, because they are only part of society. We first have to become a citizen, and then we can become an individual in society as well. We learn sometimes a bit too soon that we are individuals who have something to say on Facebook, for instance, even before we are, we have even anything to say or to sense or to rationalize. The school can still use a teacher, not just to show how it is done in repetition, but also to show what he knows and how he experiences it, and he can learn certain things to others. It can show the students, and then the students can teach things for themselves. Steiner's school is a little bit like, he had developed only the beginning of the theory, because he didn't live long enough to work it out completely, to which levels of understanding a child naturally goes through. So it starts differently, and of course, just like with the drawings, when you're very young, you draw differently than when you're older, and you confront yourself with the materialistic and hardships of life. You paint different, and you act different, and so on. In the French school, the individual is very important. In the normal school, in the primary school, they emphasize especially that you have to become a good citizen. The balance is somewhere in between. The teacher can learn you all these things, and the student can learn himself also a lot of things. But I will give an example with letters. How can you understand yourself certain things? It's by comparison. So you first start by intuition, so you associate certain things. Then you get a sense, this is really what I sense, and there is a pattern in it. Once you found the pattern, it can become a rational tool. And actually, the understanding of how to change letters or sounds into forms, it's not that complicated as I sometimes presented them. It's actually slightly simple. And I will prove that in this video. Everybody can do that, and everybody can develop it, but start with simple words that are objects, and maybe start to just associate the forms, associate the letters, associate the sounds, and see what is the interconnected. And they also fit. And so, of course, we have to be careful not to always make things fit, but let's leave that aside for now. But the mind itself will always direct you to the things that are present, whatever that is. If it is too easily associated, it can be, but it still will make it fit easily. The more unknown things that you connect there as well, the more you can and still see the patterns, the more you can do with it afterwards. Okay, I will give the example first, otherwise it will be too much blah blah. So I will take as an example the two words, BOL. It's only a Dutch word, but it's very likewise BAL. And we try to understand what the letters and sounds are doing and where are the places of these letters into these two words. BOL means sphere and BAL means ball, a ball. So let's just only compare these two things and start to associate the letters. We start with the B. All kinds of associations occur. That was with the B. So there were all a kind of association. These were the kind of associations that you could have, might have, but they all fit. So they're already expressing within a certain limits a whole range of expressions that still fit, and they are all correct. Yeah, it's not any of them is not correct. It is all. One of them, some of them might be more correct than others, but it's especially the range of limits where you are focusing upon. This is something that you have to remember. Let's continue with the O and the A. There will be differences. O and A. So A from BAL. So that I express as the A. So now the L. So the conclusion will be, in the end, if you notice all the qualities, all the features, and you collect them and so on, these were quite associative, quite intuitive, but if you learn, you do that a lot of times, and from a lot of angles, then you start to sense, indeed, where more or less the things are. If you see it from many angles, in the end, you will say, okay, I sense that it is somewhere connected there. And then you come to a conclusion like that you have the form of the BOL and the BAL is slightly different. There's another vowel in the middle, but the forms are different. So the BOL, it's not necessarily hollow, but the emphasis lies actually on the whole range of forming itself towards even exceeding of its round form. The BOL is the complete picture. But this is just a combination of the letters that I had before, and it's somewhere in it. But if you really start to combine it even better, you also notice that the BAL has the pressure of the L at the end. So the BAL, the signification, the meaning of BAL is emphasized on not on the round sphere, but on the pressure on the outer sphere. While the BOL is the whole sphere. So that is the difference between BOL, the real signification of BOL, and the signification of BAL. And if you start to do that in this way, you not only base yourself upon what you know already, like what you do, what BOL and BAL are, but if you don't sense it very well, the differences between these two words, you hardly know the differences, and you'd think, BOL and BAL is the same thing, but no, it is not. And when you sense also the vowels and consonants as well, then you even understand it better, because the senses are even becoming stronger, and your understanding becomes stronger. As you can see, this is the order: intuition, sensitivity, rationality, which you can develop through this method as well. This was just another example of sound inform into practice. The volumes are published together, but also as separate volumes. First volume is the way how to learn to rationalize your sensitivity. You broaden your associations, and your sensitivity is gradually learned, and you come to understand the theory in that way. If you read a book rationally, I'm sure you will not understand it, or just parts of it, but not everything. If you start to combine your sensitivity and learn it, you don't have to learn it to start to read it from front to back. You can even skip certain studies in it. It will develop. The second part is more the practice of the theory, and so the practice of the associations with spectrograms, the real proof how you can associate it there as well, and other studies that are similar, or other approaches that exist or existed to understand vowels and consonants, and of course certain scripts. The last help to really see how things hang together is of course my educational channel on YouTube. Anyhow, thanks for watching. This was Gerald Johan van Was. Sorry it was such a long video. I just wanted to express a small example, but it came to a bit larger session this time. Okay, this was Gerald Johan van Was for this time. There's a website there. You can subscribe to my YouTube channel, of course, for more instructional videos. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.